Welcome to this Houdini Nodebook tutorial. This video is part of the lighting notebook, and the node that we're looking at today is the LPE tag. Now, because this is a LOP level node, we're going to need to go to the stage level. Over here, I have a file set up where we just have a few pieces of geometry and a few lights set up in the scene. You can see over here, this is just our node graph over here, where I've named my lights so that we know what each one does. And then on the left, we just have a camera and a scene. Over here, we have our camera render settings. And let's just go over how we can use LPE tags in our scene. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the LPE tag node. And you can either drop this after your lights over here, or even after the merge down here. I find putting it right over here is perfectly fine. So what you'll see when we have this node selected is that we have a folder for all of our lights, and all of them are going to be untagged, right? So you can see over here, we have untagged and untagged. Now, when we tag a light, that's going to be an LPE tag. LPE just means light path expression, and it's what we can use to tell our renderer which lights are providing which contributions to our scene. So how exactly does this work? Well, over here on this LPE tag node, let's go ahead and tag some of our lights. I'm going to go ahead and add a new tag over here and just call this full_lights, just like that. And now I'm going to drag any light that I want to have registered as a full light into this tag over here. So we'll drag our two full lights, 1 and 2, and you'll see that they now show up over here. Now, how do we actually use this? Well, what we need to do is go onto our camera render settings over here, and under the image output, under the AOVs or render variables, we're going to go down over here. Now, we have a beauty pass by default, and this beauty pass can be seen over here, where we look at our viewing output over here. These are our render outputs. By default, it's just going to have a depth pass, this primitive ID pass, an instance ID, and the actual beauty pass, right, represented by C. So if we wanted to split up this beauty pass, we could go over here and say split per LPE tag. When we do that, if we go back over here to our viewing output, we can actually see that it's now split it up depending on our various lights. You'll see that it's added emission and it's also added untagged lights. Now, if I go over here and say full light, you'll see that it removes everything that is not inside of that full light tag. So we made this category over here, right, called full lights. And this tag has been applied to our full light for the top and our full light for the left. Now, this is really cool because we can now solo out certain lights or certain sets of lights, and then we can composite it all back together afterwards. Alternatively, we have it set to untagged lights, so this is going to be everything else. Now, if I go over here and we just start separating this out, there are easier ways to do this. I'm going to delete this tag that I have set up over here on the right. So I'm just going to say delete tag. All of them are now going to be untagged. We can see this over here. We only have untagged lights. Now, a cool thing that we can do is base this off of the name. So if we go over here to our LPE tag, we can say tag using, and then we're just going to say token, right? So you see here we have a separator, and this is just going to take the first part of the word, and then anything after the underscore is going to be separated. So all this is going to do is generate various tags based on whatever precedes this underscore in the name of each of our lights. So you can see we have 2 E and V lights, we have 2 full lights, and 1 rim light. And what that's done for us is it's actually taken those names and tagged each light respectively. So if we go over here, we can now see our environment lights, we can see our full lights, and we can see our rim light, right? Just like that. And additionally, this is a really cool way of doing it because it's now procedural. So if I think that my underlight shouldn't actually be in the environment, then all I have to do is go over here and we can put this into a background group. So BG, just like that. And you'll see we now have some background lights as well. And we can go over here, switch this to BG, and we have it separated out. Now, just in case you're wondering why this is potentially very powerful, I'm just going to render out a single frame, and then I'm going to show you what you can do with that. So let's just render our current frame. I'll just call this one LPE tag example. Make sure we're saving as EXR and render to disk. Go over here to our scheduler to see how far this renders, and it's done. Okay. So I'm just going to show you what we can do with this. If we go over to the compositing context over here, if I just go to comp, bring in that file that we just rendered out. So the way we're going to do this is just with a few channel copy nodes. So we drop a channel copy, and all you have to do over here is overwrite the C value. So this is your beauty pass. Just overwrite it with each one of these. So we'll do one for background. We'll do another one over here. This one will be E and V. We'll do another one over here. This one will be full. And another one over here, and this will be room. As you can see, we now have them all separated out over here. So these are the various passes that make up each of our LPE tags. And then we just want to screen them back together. So if you use a screen node, you're just going to need to use more than one. So we just screen everything back together. Why am I doing it like this? Well, the cool thing is we can now individually influence these. So let's say we want to change the color of this light in the background. We've already screened this all back together. So all we have to do now is use something like a color correct. Now this is really cool. All we have to do is just multiply the background by some color. And all of a sudden we've got our light being set up in the background like that. Right, so that's the background tag. We can do the same with our others as well. So this over here is going to be our environment light. So let's say that we want this to also be a bit cooler, something like that. Let's say we want this one over here to be a slightly warmer light. And then we can also make further adjustments. For example, if you want to bring out the highlights of that light, you can increase the multiplier on that particular element. And just like that, we're able to control each and every light individually, exactly as we like. So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope that this helped you understand LPE tags, and I'll be seeing you in the next video with another lighting node. So I'll see you there. Bye.